Thank you. Hey, everyone. As you just said, Derek Wilkinson from FlightAware. We're part of Raytheon now, but for the most part, I think we still have that startup culture. I'm going to be talking to you guys about some usage of MDM APIs. We use simple MDM currently, and I'd like to just give a couple quick examples of how we utilize that. So first, you have to recognize processes for automation. Typically, these are repetitive tasks or tasks requiring multiple clicks in different places, in this case, different places in the MDM interface. So one recent example is certificate generation. Now, we haven't been able to automate this complete process with simple MDM, but we've been able to make it a lot easier. So using Python and JSON, we would use the simple MDM APIs, the devices functionality, to first retrieve all the devices information. So this includes the device group, device architecture, enrollment status, users on the device, and the simple MDM device ID. So after that, we would utilize this information to narrow the scope. So if we were not needing to generate new certificates for all the devices, we could use this within the Python script to narrow down by, say, device architecture for only needing to update our M1 devices, or their device group, which is the most common way that we narrow it down for the certificates. So for this use case, we generated a CSV using a Python script with a column for a serial number, then username, and then the simple MDM device ID. Then we would use a Python again to iterate through each row in the generated CSV and run the OpenSSL process, which was running as a sub-process within the Python script. So at this point, we had to go in and manually create the profile. Unfortunately, within simple MDM, we couldn't automate that part of the process. So we would go in, create a certificate profile, give it a name, and upload the generated certificate. However, after this, we could circle back and do some more automation. So again, using Python and JSON, we'd use the simple MDM's profiles API to retrieve all the profiles that we have in our simple MDM. The two main things that we were looking at were the profile name and the profile ID. Again, we'd use Python to iterate through the previous CSV, which would match the device name to the certificate name, which the profile name would be the cert, device name, and then the current year. And then that profile ID would match to the device ID. Then we'd just run a post command to assign, and it is this command, the profile ID in there matches to the device ID. And at the end of that, we just have it generate a simple Python list of devices that didn't find a matching profile so that we could go back and see what happened. So this is the thing I'm currently working on, are custom dashboards using the simple MDM API. So this is using Python, JSON, and SQLite. This interface is powered by PyWeb.io, and the login credential and dashboard layout are using SQLite. So this runs API commands to gather information about the device's OS version, applications installed on the device, the last check-in time, and more, depending on what we're trying to do with the dashboard. So data used from those API queries are saved into a SQLite database for later reference. And then we can use PyWeb.io to generate these tiles that contain requested information, along with options to view the devices that meet those dashboard tiles criteria, and to refresh, which checks back in with the API to get new information. So some new features that I'm trying to iron out are options to run custom queries against the API, to save queries so other users that are using these dashboards can access them, and then to edit the layout so you can put the tiles where you want and choose which queries that you want to show. So here's an example of a couple of things that we're using, making sure some devices had a particular program installed, comparing some devices that had a program installed but not another program installed, some programs that, or some devices that did not have system integrity protection enabled, and devices that had not checked in for over 30 days. Whenever you click on the View Devices button, it would have a drop down that shows the devices. The refresh again would check in and get the latest list. Also, the coloring of these is going to change. If there's no devices, for example, that have been last checked in for a period of over 30 days, this will turn green down there. And that's it.